Respectfully, if you've never felt insufferably high on life, I'm talking you literally cannot wait to wake up the next morning, not for any particular reason, just because you're so excited to live, then I don't think you've really experienced the height of being alive. And I genuinely wish that feeling on my worst enemies because it wasn't always like this for me. I spent most of my life over the past 10 years waking up already tired, dreading the day before it even started, having a general nihilistic view on life. And what's annoying, I never romanticized feeling poorly about life. I was making an intentional effort every day to live fully, to feel excited about life and have more fulfillment. I thought that having a better routine might change things, or therapy. Or if I just got more disciplined, put more rules on myself, then everything would come together. But none of that is what did it for me. What actually changed my life was spending 10 minutes a day, every day, doing absolutely nothing. No phone, no music, no podcasts, not even journaling, just sitting there in complete silence, 10 minutes as the bare minimum, but ideally longer. And this is important because I realize in hindsight that the reason people stay in the same emotional loops for years and years and years isn't because they're not self-aware or they're unintelligent. It's because the loops are held together by tiny lies that are very difficult to uncover with all the distractions we have today in our lives. You see, for most people, the moment that the emotional loop is about to break is when they go grab for their phone or grab for the bad habit, the food, the smoking, any of the a million things we have that can effortlessly distract us for hours and hours that then make it easier for us to jump back into the loop the next day as if that breaking point wasn't about to happen. So today I want to talk about why silence is one of the most powerful tools in breaking the emotional loops that are keeping you from living a fulfilled life, why digital hygiene matters way more than mindset or any self-improvement hack out there, and how doing this consistently can give you a disgustingly unfair advantage. Hello, my name is Danae. Thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time today. If you're new here and watching on YouTube, you can also listen on Spotify if you prefer. It's always linked in the description. So I want to start by talking about our day-to-day lives. We live primarily in our conscious mind, thinking, reacting, narrating, explaining. I don't know about you, but I would classify myself as a pretty self-aware person. And I used to think that self-awareness automatically meant that I was honest with myself. But actually, at its bare bones, it just means you're good at explaining. It doesn't mean that what you're explaining is necessarily the truth or that you can always identify the truth and explain the truth. Because we're constantly stimulated. We have so many things to distract us 24/7. We have media, we have podcasts, music, the tap of a button. We just stay in this level. But behind that layer is what we could call the subconscious mind, and we can get aligned with it more effortlessly when we are in silence. And this is where the T is. Any tension, any avoidance, any excitement, any resistance. The honest layer of yourself lies there. And that's why silence can be so uncomfortable for most people, because it removes your ability to override yourself or over-justify something. You have to come to terms with usually the uncomfy feelings that are under the surface. This is why, for example, the idea of silence shows up in almost every religion. There's prayer, there's meditation, there's retreats. In the Christian faith, there's this terminology commonly used. It's like you have to die to your flesh, which means you deprive your flesh, for example, if you're fasting, of food, of water, of music, social media, those kind of things, so you become closer with God. You can hear him more clearly. Everything I just mentioned shares the same mechanism. Removing external inputs so your internal truths can come to the surface clearly. And the thing is, once they come to the surface clearly, it's very difficult to forget them or move past them because when you know, you know. And I think what's happened, at least for my generation, Gen Z, is we kept the idea of reflection. So the idea of knowing your triggers and pattern recognition, all these fancy therapy talk words have been popularized and people reflect more and they're more aware, which I think is a net positive because when I look at older generations, many of them didn't even do that. But I think we've kept the idea of reflection, but we don't romanticize stillness and silence in the same way. So with the reflection just comes a bunch of processing and over-explaining, over-justifying things, or a lot of searching and seeking, where a lot of times the answer is already within you, but you don't give yourself the time to get there in stillness. So this idea has been on my mind for quite some time, and I recently came across a tweet that perfectly encapsulated what I thought in such a funny way too, and prompted the idea for this whole entire message that you're listening to right now. The tweet, I will link it below and I'll also have it on screen, but let me pull it up here. So the tweet says, 6 months of sitting in silence for 10 minutes a day and following the intuitive callings that arise will change your life more drastically than a high-dose psychedelic trip. No notes. Most people struggle with not knowing, with indecisiveness, with feeling unsure about what's next and where to go. So it really is a cheat code. You just know, you're just on your path. That doesn't mean that you won't experience sadness or emotional turmoil or grief or anything that the human experience puts forth. But what it does mean is that you'll have more surety. And on that point of not knowing what you should do and the indecisiveness, I think that a lot of our emotional turmoil happens in our mind. You create a negative reality by having storylines in your head that are false. The storylines can be both positive and negative, but those stories are, one, what hold together the emotional loops, and two, create emotional turmoil because there's tension in the truth, the reality, and the story. So I've gone through this many, many times. I'll share a broadly relatable example for the sake of this message today. So being in for example, a situationship, specifically as a person who knows they want to be in a long-term committed relationship that ultimately leads to marriage, dynamic like that, you might meet someone, you might say you both have the same intention, and then over a period of time, you notice that might not be true. Maybe they lied, one party lied, and they don't have that intention. Or they did have that intention, but you're just not the one for them. And I want to stick on that point because I've experienced this before where it's like, we're just not compatible, especially as women. We can create storylines around people, around the journey of love, and we romanticize them and we keep them at the forefront. Even if we feel like we're being very logical, we can create very short, simple stories about just who the person is. Maybe they're very established, they have a good career or a good business, or they're just well off, they have their life together, that you're attracted to them. So you're like, yes, this is perfect. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. But their behavior towards you and within the situation says otherwise. This is not perfect. What you'll end up doing is justifying in small little ways in those daily instances where their actions are presented to you, why those actions are okay. And they'll be so tiny and justifiable because, humans are nuanced and da-da-da-da. But in the broad, big picture, in the reality, this is not true. And your subconscious mind knows you have that gut feeling. Within this, you'll feel on the surface excited and happy, like, okay, this is my person. I'm working towards something with them. But beneath the surface, you're reminded the true feelings. When problems arise, you just ignore them. And those emotions effortlessly lead you into doom scrolling, into the bad habits, because you can't bear sitting with yourself, because if you sit with yourself, you're going to have to confront yourself with the truth. And I do have an entire video on this, but especially as a woman, the thoughts that come up very, very loud, even amongst the distractions when you're in your luteal phase or the end of your cycle, those are the things that are very important and you should lean into them. But ultimately, you just create a humiliation ritual loop with yourself where deep down this is wrong. I should not be continuing this. If I loved myself and I wanted to feel true fulfillment and I believed in my path, I believed that there's goodness in store for me, I would take the path that I know is meant for me. But because it's so painful to accept the truth and it's hard to go through that pain and sit in silence and say, okay, this is the way, you stay there. And then maybe a year or 2 years later, you finally get out, but the scars that has left you with, the emotional scars that has left you with, leave you with another year or 2 years of healing when you could have cut that timeline down to just 1 month or 2 months of little tiny cuts and not these massive deep scars. So the reason I share this example is because most of the times in those situations, there's no confusion. We know, but it's easier to pretend like you don't know and to continue justifying the little lies if you do not take the time to sit in silence and allow the subconscious thoughts to come to the forefront and basically give you that stamp of approval, like, yes, we literally cannot move forward on this path because it will be detrimental to us. It's kind of like if you were literally in the wild and you saw one path that was empty and one path with a bear, you would absolutely say, in order for me to survive, I need to go on this path. This is the same thing with the emotional loops that we keep ourselves in. It is that detrimental. And this is the part that gives you the unique advantage. Most people are literally going to the path with the bear and dealing with the consequences later and dying emotionally. And that's why they feel miserable and not fulfilled in life. So sitting in silence allows you to confront, stamp, okay, this is the path we have to take or else we will literally die emotionally, spiritually. This is so important and something I'm reverse engineering these thoughts that I've had and combining all these different things. I see this amazing tweet and all this stuff, but I know this consciously and I still struggle with it subconsciously. I just went through a similar situation that lasted way longer than I needed to, in my opinion, because I cannot justify this. It's bruising my ego. It's just, I cannot deal with this. But you most definitely can. And I brought up the dating situationship as a broadly relatable example, but this is for anything in life, for a job, for a friendship, any situation, you can apply the same rules. So to recap and just make sure we're on the same page, an emotional loop is a story that you keep engaging with that is false, that we create. And actually, it's important to note that the human mind does this because it wants to protect you. It knows that if you accept the reality, that rejection, shame, other terrible emotions will come up. So it wants to lessen the blow and make you feel comfortable. So the easiest way to do that is to create a story that feels satisfying. But in doing so, it keeps us in this comfortable but terrible for your life emotional loop. The tool it uses to stop us from experiencing these emotions is the story, but the story doesn't fix anything. It just keeps you going on that path, getting closer to the bear. So that's why clarity feels really punchy. It feels hard and sharp and it doesn't feel comforting, but over time it does. And the better you get at going through the painful season, maybe it's 2, 3 days, 4 days, a week, a month, 2 months. When you get better at that, accepting the truth and knowing how to work through those emotions head on in other situations becomes so much easier. And you get that high from achieving, from overcoming. And that is the beauty of life. When they say that it's the journey, it is quite literally in dealing with these types of emotions. So what you don't want to do though is wait until a situation occurs and you're at the last leg to then make a change and try and sit in silence. Like that's the worst period, in my opinion, to deal with something head on. And my message that if you've watched me before, you're very familiar with, it's to log out for most of your life. I'm not anti social media or technology, but I do think that we can work towards building a better relationship with it. So I think just by incorporating better day-to-day habits and curating a life where boredom arises in a way that's not weird. It's like, oh yeah, I'm bored right now and I don't need to go on my phone. I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to get excited about sitting with myself in this boredom. You know, the grandparents sitting on the veranda, the front porch, just looking out at the street or the sunset or wherever, they were onto something. They sit down there for hours and hours and hours doing nothing. They just know there's a lot of life and answers in boredom and doing nothing. Day to day in my life, for example, as one tip, I recommend people have app blockers. So I have app blockers on my phone. I actually am very strong-willed. I can have the apps on my phone and not go on them, but I purposefully keep the app blockers on there because there's a lot of science around when you're in emotional distress, like a quick period of emotional distress. Your weakest moment is when it's going to be the most easy for you to then go back into a bad cycle. And as we know, these apps are designed to keep you on there for as long as possible. So if I just have a really stressful day and I'm strong-willed, but my mind is weak at the moment, a split-second decision can then get me back into a loop for a period of time. So that is why I think the app blocker is very useful to have. So mine is on from 5 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and then it shuts down at 9:30. So I only have a couple hours to go on the apps. But that's important because when that's done, and let's say I'm done my work for the day, there's just nothing to do and I'm forced to sit with my thoughts. And in those periods, especially in the early days when I started doing this, those would be the most difficult few hours because it's like I'm really confronted with, okay, what are the actions we did today? Why did we take them? What's coming up? Who's this person? Why are you doing that? And I really have to be honest with myself, but this is the part that really changes your brain chemistry. And I make an intentional effort in the mornings to also have this time as well. Another thing that I think is really powerful in curating silence and giving your subconscious mind room to come to the forefront is writing uncensored thoughts. So without any prompts. I'm a very ritualistic person and something that I haven't done in a while, but has always been very powerful for me, especially if there's a lot of emotional turmoil going on. I will set a timer for maybe 20 minutes. No music. I usually like to do it in the evening so the ambiance is there, the vibe is there. It's like there's depth to the scenario. And I'll just start writing about whatever comes to mind. The trick or the idea is you cannot stop writing until the timer goes off. So you might stop because you don't know what else to say, but then you get back writing as soon as possible. Like whatever comes to mind, you just get back on it. About 20 to 30 minutes of this allows your subconscious mind to come to the surface when you're writing. And because it's not guided, it's just forcing the unconscious thoughts to come out. And that usually allows you to confront things as well. So I know that there's people who apparently don't have like an inner dialogue and stuff like that. So maybe writing in this way helps. And I think it's important that it's not prompted, because prompted guides you in a direction, whereas unprompted allows you to write about anything. So usually when I do this, I'm writing about my family, my career, something I did when I was literally 15 years old that I didn't know was in my mind. Like those are the things that come up that are like, whoa, this was what was down here. Someone you knew or something you did or a situation that hurt you 10 years ago that you didn't even know, because you're just allows thoughts to come up without distracting yourself. So that's another practice that I think having in your toolbox, doing maybe once a quarter, or just knowing it's there and you can do this, can really help you. And then in the bit where I talked about religion earlier on, fasting or deprivation of any kind can also help because it depletes your flesh. It lowers interference of everything else that goes along with eating and your body digesting and all these things. It just makes you feel light, free, and focused. So, I mean, it's not something I personally do all the time, to be quite honest with you, but I'm just sharing a bunch of options that I have done or I know can work. So you can pick your few or all or one and just go with it. And then something that I incorporate in my life, which I get so excited about, is my thinking time. Walks where I have no music or podcasts, or just literally laying on this couch at the end of the day, or I'll schedule into the morning sometimes, just like we need thinking time. If I feel like I'm getting that numb feeling, like as I mentioned in the beginning, if I don't feel insufferably high on life, I'm like, we need to clean things up. Let's brush our mind. And it's like literally combing out your mind. I will schedule this clear thinking time on top of making sure that my day-to-day is phone free, digital, is clean, and is clean in terms of a digital hygiene perspective. I will just think and see what comes up. I always feel amazing after that because you just get so much clarity. You have the downloads, you have the unlocks, and life feels good. This is something people don't be doing. I know there's some of you out here who are on it. You don't use your phone. You don't even have a smartphone and you're on it. But a lot of people, I would probably say 90% of people, they think that's weird. Whenever I talk about the fact that sometimes I just do nothing, people are like, what do you mean? So what do? You just sit down and stare at a wall? Yes. This is it. Less is more. When they say less is more, we have all of these tools, these like, you can track your health, you can track your inputs on Notion and do this. There's all these tools and da-da. Less is more. If at a baseline, you just give yourself some thinking time, the world is your oyster, I'm telling you. So please, if you have any other tips or things that you guys do or things that you feel comb your brain out in the comments, because you guys always leave such interesting, funny ideas. And also, if you're liking this message, give it a like, subscribe if you're on YouTube, or rate on Spotify, and leave comments. I respond to all comments on all platforms. When I do have my few hours of screen time, I'm pretty much just going through these comments because it just feels so special to see feedback from communicating thoughts, ideas that people can relate to or are inspired by. It's just amazing. So yeah, I think ultimately what I want to get across is that feeling excitement and fulfillment, people usually associate with feeling comfortable, but it's actually the opposite. I think that freedom, that excitement comes from honesty, and honesty is difficult and requires an intentional effort to get to, especially in a world that makes it very easy to sit in distraction. Honesty breeds clarity, and clarity is what's actually going to change your life for the better. So this is the path that I'm on, just to feel the most balanced and fulfilled every day. I want to be my best self so that I can show up as a better daughter, better friend, better client, freelancer, God's willing, a wife one day as well. And I understand now that this requires a lot of intentional effort, but that's what makes life fun and exciting. And you know way more than you think. Oftentimes people ask me for book recommendations, and I read here and there, but I'm not reading self-help books. To be honest, I read more fiction than nonfiction. The answers come from within. They come in my time of silence, and they're in you too. We'll talk soon.